let's see this question here. This one is interesting. It has 3 blanks. Notice that if you just focus on the first blank, okay, you might end up doing a longer analysis. James Maxwell once remarked that the best scientists are the yada yada ones. So what kind of adjectives could you use to talk about best scientists? If you just simply give a glance to the first column, adaptable, revolutionary would instantly catch your eye. Yes, best scientists are the adaptable ones, the revolutionary ones. Normally, nobody would think of ignorant, right? But what happens if you choose either adaptable or revolutionary? Okay? Since we're speaking about the best scientist. But how would you create a coherent sentence with the third blank if you pick adaptable or revolutionary? Continue reading. Not hemmed in by the yada yada of their respective fields, they're able to approach problems with an mind, so to speak, with a fertile mind, with a rational mind, with an empty, obviously wouldn't sound well here, but fertile mind, revolutionary, no coherence. Rational, adaptable, not a close relationship between these two pairs of adjectives. So it's a problem here. We need to make sure that we can spot the correct blank to begin with our analysis. And particularly in this paragraph, in this statement, because it's just one large statement, the best place to begin with is the second, not the first. Because in the first, we don't have sufficient context. Notice that the second blank has as a target the fields or the respective fields of the scientists. They are set to be not hemmed in by the something of the respective fields. And hemmed, what does hem means? Hem is limited. So if they do not feel limited or hemmed by something of their respective fields, here is our pivot is that they are not limited by the something of their respective fields. Clearly, we need a word that speaks of limitations, right? Something in their respective fields that could limit scientists, could hem scientists. And myopia, the myopia of a field is very difficult. The myopia is a quality of a person not seeing, from afar, But you couldn't talk about the myopia of a field. It's very difficult. So this doesn't apply. Inertia being a limiting factor for scientists is kind of hard. Here, the most negative connotation word would be preconceptions. This could be something that reasonably could limit, what scientists could achieve or do. So, scientists are not limited by the preconceptions of their respective fields. And this leads clearly to a better prediction of the third blank in this case. Notice that the third blank has as target the word mind. And what is the clue? Well, the clue is the fact that in the A second statement, at the beginning it says that scientists are not hemmed by or with preconceptions. Notice that after that phrase comes a comma. So basically, all of this is a modifier for the subject they. It's a scientist, they, who are not hemmed in by the preconceptions of their respective fields. So, if they are able to approach problems without the preconception of their respective fields, what is the best feeling? Fertile? Rational? It doesn't make any sense. If you want to apply your mind to problem solving without preconceptions, is you go into the problem with an empty mind because you don't have preconceptions. You bring nothing with you at the moment of analyzing a problem because you don't want to be unduly influenced by any preconceptions. So going with a fertile or rational mind doesn't make any sense with the participle phrase modifying the subject of this second part of the statement. The best feeling is empty. And now we understand, it makes a total sense to say that good scientists or the best scientists are those who can approach problems with an empty mind, devoided or totally rid of preconceptions. And so, if we go back to the first part of the statement, which should be parallel because of this pivot, the semicolon, now we understand that the second part of this statement could never be saying something parallel to the first part of the statement if the adjective before ones were either adaptable or revolutionary. Not at all. If we're talking about a scientist who approaches problems with an empty mind, without preconceptions, then it would make total sense to say that the best scientist, in the opinion of James Maxwell's, because now we have our clue is the empty mind, the one adjective that conveys a close idea to having an empty mind is ignorant or ignorant. Okay? We understand that the pivot here, our semicolon, indicates that the second half of the statement probably simply explains the first part of the statement, is aligned with it. They are parallel thoughts. So, how come the best scientists are the ignorant ones? Yeah, because those who totally free themselves of preconceptions, they don't bring along anything like prejudice to problem solving. Those are the ones who probably get the best results. Because usually what clouds a person, from seeing a situation clearly is because they have with a preconceived idea about that. But if you limit yourself to analyzing the facts that are placed in front of you, it's like figuratively you are going into the situation with an empty mind or ignorant of what that situation was in the first place. So these are, some of the situations you need to face when analyzing text completion.